least currently. Um, so we're going to talk about a couple of things that are happening this week in the hobby and then in the future of the hobby. And so we'll just get started talking about this week being pretty excited about Chrome baseball. So tell me some of your initial thoughts about Chrome baseball. I'll jump in and tell you some stuff that I kind of know from behind the scenes a little bit or whatever.
I would say initial thoughts are excited. A lot of people, a little bit of myself included, prefer the Chrome card to the paper card. And of course, with Chrome product coming out, there are some different chases. I don't know if that's something you're going to get into, so I won't go into it completely. But I think last year, a lot of people enjoyed the product because of the extra chases they added in there. Plus, completely different from Series 1 and Series 2. Just in what I know about it, a little bit better product value-wise, like that.
And I would say you're not alone in preferring the Chrome style. I would say year after year, Chrome is top 5 product. On the baseball side, I mean, that's how people feel. You got to remember the MVP buyback started with baseball. And again, it'll come back this year, which is just a heck of a deal. I mean, it's looking like maybe Jordan Alvarez right now or whatever, but your Jordan Alvarez card's being worth $20 for a base card. It's kind of crazy.
Yep.
But that's kind of like what we're looking at now. So that's the MVP buyback is part of that. So that's a great thing. Last year, know exactly what it was. Somebody commented on one of my posts that people kind of were a little disappointed with it. Last year, it was a little slow to move. And he thinks this year people are sleeping on it. They should be. What I will tell you is we've talked about this. I won't go too much into retail reserve because I kind of, we're going to talk about that here in just a minute. But the retail reserve or the collector's access program was Topps' updated name for it. Guarantees that your local shop that's directly with Topps, like us, going to have plenty of the blasters, and I cannot sell them above $39.95. We are going to do $35 a piece. You're not going to be able to beat that kind of deal, and that's thanks to Topps and to this program that you're going to be able to walk in and buy, 3 blasters of Chrome. Which, by the way, I'm going to show you this just so you know. This isn't possibly going to be here Wednesday. This is already here. And also updated box size for the blaster. So just to give you an idea, normal blaster size compared to the new Chrome size. But there's just as many cards. We took a look at that. There is just as many cards. But so blasters, definitely I think that's a no-brainer at your local hobby shop. If you can find megas out in the wild, is what people say, at your Target or your Walmart, your local hobby shop probably didn't get a lot of those. And I could see those quickly being 80, 90, $100, at least 80, 90. And so if you can go find them at Target, Walmart for $60, maybe grab your megas there and find them there. And then the hobbies, they're right now right at $3. Most places is a pre-sale, maybe $3.25. I think 3 will not last very long, and I think it's a fair price at 3. And you kind of brought out the fact that it's not an auto or a min. It's a guaranteed auto.
Yep.
In that product.
Asterisk, maybe redemption. But
Yes, you're right. Could be a redemption for sure. So there's one part of the set that I don't get as much, but I talked to Scott about it. He loves it. So I was just asking kind of your opinion. What do you think about the Minions chase? What do you think about that?
I understand the chase from the perspective of, again, it's something that it's not in a lot of products. I think Chrome Basketball was...
Yeah, the other update. Update Chrome Basketball will have it in 2 weeks.
Yeah, so it's something that, again, is not the repeated printed process, and now it's something a little different. I wouldn't be mad if I was able to obtain one strictly from a pulling standpoint, but I don't think for my personal self it'll be something I chase after. Granted, I haven't looked deep into the checklist, don't know who all is in there, but can definitely understand and see. Plus, I don't know a lot of people that don't like the Minions in general, so That may just be me, but I think it's something fun that gives, again, new opportunity for this.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And there's definitely, I did a video. It's on TikTok. I think I've dropped it everywhere now, like on Instagram and Facebook. But it shows some of like the ultraviolet, some of the inserts you can get. So if you haven't checked that out, it's almost like a what's in the box, like I used to do, just a little bit more high tech maybe than the what's in the boxes. But you can check that out. It's got some good information. So overall, you think it's going to be pretty popular?
I believe so.
Yeah, I do too. I would say again, us as a local hobby shop didn't get a lot. Some shops did get more of the hobby and jumbo than we did. Usually we run right in line, but I heard mixed reports. Some got about the same, some got considerably more. As far as the blasters, yeah, absolutely. You can come to us. We're gonna have them. We're gonna have them through the weekend. I'm sure we got 4 cases of them. And but the hobby jumbo, we got one, and I bet they're going by the weekend. And we will be doing our fair first week pricing, but with limits, reasonable limits to be fair to everyone. So we kind of touched on it with this specific product, Topps Chrome. But what is your current feeling? Let's say you had $200. You walked into the shop. We just had a situation where it was a new customer. Walked in the shop, was asking us about basketball specifically. But if you had, let's make it 300. You had $300. You walk in a shop. How are you balancing what you're purchasing as far as retail, like blaster value boxes, mega versus hobby, and why? I guess, in your opinion.
I think it would be reasonable to set the asterisk at it depends on what purpose I'm buying for. If I'm a guy that likes the rip and hope for a hit to sell off a new release, coming soon, Topps Chrome is not a bad option. If I'm more of just the collector from the standpoint, I mean, Retail Reserve has helped that as affordability. So, and it seems like in the past couple products, me personally, have noticed more balance with the retail side, the value boxes, the mega boxes, stuff like that. So, ultimately, for me, knowing how I like to buy, of course, for my sake, the $300 is going towards a hobby at minimum.
Yeah.
But I would not be opposed that for the right value of a couple more lower end boxes just to have fun and rip. There are certain teams and players that I collect, so it's going to come down to what each person wants to do with that.
Yeah, what their budget is.
Correct.
Yeah, what their budget is in ripping. And so we're kind of starting with the presupposition, I guess, the assumption that they are going to rip, that ripping's still part of what they're wanting to do, part of the hobby. And in the bigger picture, we know that sometimes your better value is to pick that team and do a break or to buy some singles of the specific players you like. But ripping is such a big part of the hobby for everybody. But something you touched on for sure. I think a lot of people are noticing that Topps, and they had to, Fanatics or Topps, let's call it Topps, what they had to do was kind of juice up the retail. And it does seem like they've kind of juiced up the retail. Platinum baseball, for instance, it seemed like 5 blasters would have been better than a hobby, for the most part. So let's hope that they're striking that balance where they're getting us plenty, but they're still decent stuff in there. And yeah, we do have to thank Topps for the used to be Retail Reserve program. It's a customer access program, I believe now. We do need to be appreciative of that because this box, if I got 1 case of it, if all the other shops got 1 or 2 cases of this might be a $70 box at your local shop. But at least for 30 days, you're paying less than $40 than any Topps direct shop. So there is definitely some retail options out there, and I agree. It really depends on what you are looking for. So,
Topps Finest as an example too.
Yes.
I think that was something a lot of people were skeptical of. Hey, here's a product that's usually hobby exclusive. They took a chance, Topps and the customer side, and I think that paid off for a lot of people as well. I heard nothing but good reviews, especially from the mega side, and I think that even the shop kind of reflected that. We were gone pretty quick here, but
Yeah, absolutely. And to throw my 2 cents into that, you're exactly right. And they didn't do what Select did. When Select introduced the retail side, they just started mass producing like crazy. I never got a second offer on Finest. I don't know of any shop that did, Hobby or Vegas, which granted they were going into Fanatics Fest and stuff like that. Sure, they had bigger fish to fry, but no, but most of your Finest is 550 or higher for Hobby, and the Megas are probably 120 if you could find them, just about anywhere. So our fair first week pricing is good for customers. Sometimes it bites us in the butt because it's gone. But
yeah.
but we still try to be reasonable about our limits and stuff. But that's how it goes. So there's another product on the horizon besides Chrome Update Basketball, which will be another big one. But we're not that far from football season, and Topps this week dropped first images of Topps flagship football, which will be the first licensed Topps football flagship product, like a base product that, in all understanding, should be able to be in the hands of basically anybody with any budget who's in this hobby and wants to rip. So let's talk about it just a little bit, and we'll know more when I get my allocations and that sort of thing. But just touching base on it at the beginning, what do you feel Topps needs to do to get flagship football right? Like, what are some things that maybe they could do that would make it right, and what are some things they could do that would make it not right, I guess, or not good for the collector?
I'm gonna start at the bad side here, and I'm gonna compare it to most recent Topps flagship product, and that's baseball. Um, there were a lot of people who were disappointed with that product. They felt like the value was not there, even though being the affordable product, it was just a lot of base consumed product. And I think that a lot of people are excited for the new 2026 products. Tops did well, kind of ending the football year, if you will, on the capturing still the 2025 side of it. But I think now people have the expectation of, okay, now it's time to really see what we can do with new faces, new chases. And for me, I think it kind of goes hand in hand, good and bad. If they want to do well with this product, don't treat it like baseball.
Mhm.
You know, I think that the Chrome, if you will, as you just mentioned, there were some hits that were similar to the football product.
Mhm.
Some people like that. They like seeing, hey, here's my favorite teams. These are the types of products I can chase with this. Try some different things. Experimenting, I think, only helps everybody.
Mhm.
You kind of see, for instance, the Minions.
Yeah.
It's going to be one of those things where a lot of people chase it. A lot of people like Minions. There probably will be some people that don't care, which makes it easier for those that do care to access it. But um, as far as from the football standpoint, just kind of keep it football minded, not so much just flagship series one, however you want to call it, minded. I think that's just my perspective.
Yeah, I'm going to say something about that, but I'm going to answer Tyler's question. Resurgence, I think it did okay when it was unlicensed. Again, the only thing that I could say input wise is, did I get very much? Did the local shop get very much offered? I did not. So I don't think you've got an abundance of it out there, at least especially on the hobby side of it. So I didn't get a lot of blasters or megas, or I think I just got one and one. So I think it'll be decent. We did a blaster sale here a couple weeks ago,
Yep.
and I did no holds barred. And in retrospect, I don't have any football left. I mean, football is still a big seller, so people went back into signature football blasters and megas. Even so, after the sale, megas disappeared, and I've sold 3 hobby this week. That which proportionally is disproportionate from what I would say is is normal. So yeah, I think people still are hungry for football, and it's going to hit and still be 2, 3 weeks before flagship comes out. So I think it'll be decent. So yeah, part of flagship getting it right, and this is the tops thing. And it's one of the guys in the tops town hall meetings. He says it. I'm forgetting his name, but he says it every time. He's like, everybody wants more allocation, but nobody really wants us to make more product. And that's basically true. So it's that supply and demand that Tops has got to get right with Tops flagship, because that product is going to be compared heavily to Donruss football, because that's been the closest thing we've had. Donruss football ends up at 350 or 400 every year. Granted, there is the downtown chase. I don't think Tops has mastered it as well as Panini, that case hit chase yet. So maybe that's a good thing for the average collector, in that maybe these boxes stay under 250. They could be. I bet they come out 150 to two. I could see them going 250 pretty quickly for hobby. But in today's market, 200 for a hobby football box is probably pretty reasonable. So it is definitely striking that balance of availability at your local shop and price point. And so it'll just be interesting to see our allocation, so we can um, talk more about that. But I think when people are thinking of flagship, here's the things that I think matters the most: quality pictures, the upcoming rookies specifically, quality inserts. People want a reason to rip outside of an $800 case hit. They just want to feel like every couple of packs they're getting a $10 insert card or whatever. And then the ability for Topps owning everything, and just to do on card autos of all the biggest names in football. I just think those are the things that they need to focus on, and just a nice clean card. And I think that product's going to do very well.
I agree.
Do you have any other comments about that?
I don't. I think we covered it from both sides, if you will, the collector and the shop side, which is good. And I think that I think you did make a good point that a lot of people tend to overlook. Hey, I can't find this product.
Mhm.
Where is this product? And it's referenced so many times. Junk wax error, junk
Yeah.
wax error. So I'm glad you said that, because it does remind the average customer or collector, like, hey, if you don't want this to be junk wax 2.0, let's remember, get it when you can and while you can. Support the shops that do have it, but at the same time, understand that sometimes prices reflect not being able to find it, and that overprinting side that nobody wants. So.
Yeah, and so it's kind of it's part of the product mix at Tops. If you refer to the junk wax era, nobody's looking at an '89 Upper Deck baseball sealed box as junk wax.
Yeah,
but it's in the middle of that era. So if in that era, so if they can, Tops can keep that kind of going with the hobby side of things, for the most part, and giving you that feel of that '89 Upper Deck. But then on the other hand, put plenty of the blasters out. It's a good balance. There are families that just want to sit down and rip some packs and see their favorite player, and so let's hope they can kind of keep that going. So yeah, we'll kind of